Hi everybody, this is Adam Collingwood again. Today it's the 4th of January, and what we're going to do is have another look back on the day just to see what's been happening and the events with the DAX and how we've been day trading this today. This is a 1 minute chart that we're going to be looking at today. On other videos we'll be looking at other time frames. But I just want to show you today just some of the things that have happened on the 1 minute time frame. We're going to start by looking from 7 o'clock this morning, which is when the DAX opens, so 7 o'clock UK time. That's 8 o'clock German time. So there wasn't really that much movement overnight. Asian markets kind of like moving sideways. So usually if something happens overnight in Asia, that can be reflected with other markets such as the German DAX, but in this case it's just been kind of like moving sideways, as I said, overnight. Now what we can see here is these 1 minute candles. If you've seen previous video, we've got the same indicators on here, the super trends, the 50-200 smoothing average, it's a 200 EMA there as well, and then the other usual indicators in the strategy, the awesome oscillator, rock and roll, on balance volume, and the directional movement indicator. You can see at the bottom here I've got the MACD if I want to use that, the ADX as a separate box so that the ADX is reflected here in the directional movement index indicator, and then we've got stochastic, and so we can use any of these other tools, and the ones I've also got across the top here. If I want to tick any of these, then I can too, and they will appear on the chart. So for example the VWAP, if I wanted to put that on there as well, I can do. But at the moment we like to just keep this as straightforward as possible, where this top part of your screen is where all the price action's happening, and these are all the supporting evidence when we execute trades, which you can see below. Okay. So this is 7 o'clock this morning. We can see the price on the 1 minute chart has already crossed above super trend 310, the black line, and 510, the yellow line. The reason why we have the 510 on there is that gives us more wriggle room when we're looking for entries and exits. The black super trend line here will give us tighter entries, but something I want to emphasize, we're not automatically entering trades just because it's crossing these lines at all. That's not how this works. It's just important when you're looking at a chart, you can see where trends are occurring, when breakouts are happening. So for example, one here, 16,569, when the price is broken above that previous high after pulling back to here, again, we're looking to capitalize on that as the price is making higher highs or higher lows, etc. So that's just the basics of trading. This is a strategy to capitalize on any moves happening, instilling discipline as to when we get in and where we take target, and importantly where a stop loss will be to protect any downside. So 7 o'clock this morning we can see that on the 1 minute time frame the candles were already above super trend here and above the 50-200 smoothing average, this red dotted line here, and above the 20-50 smoothing average, this blue dotted line. So you can see this nice sweeping movement. It just hits 16,544, comes back again, and then just as the German market opens, DAX just starts to move up and continue its momentum. So an entry around here you could have taken this morning, and had you taken that, and there's very slim pickings here, and ideally what we wanted to see happen is this continue its momentum upwards, but as we were approaching the FTSE 100 opening at 8 o'clock, it started to pull back to this 50-200 smoothing average again. So an entry here would have been absolutely fine, but you want to make sure that you would close the trade here. All right, you can always get back in the trade, okay, but what we don't know, what could happen is if we held on to a trade after entering here and not getting out at where it crossed super trend 310 here, we're going to be potentially looking at losing pips and we just don't know how much further this will go. So the idea is we don't risk anything. We just want to implement the strategy, instill the discipline as to when we get in, and then, okay, we're not happy with the fact that we've not really made many pips here, but we're just protecting our money as it drops through here. Okay. So we saw this nice pullback to 16,530 here, which was just bouncing off the 50-200 smoothing average. And then as the FTSE 100 opened, you can see this nice entry here as it pushes through Supertrend 510. So that's where that entry is here. And you can have a look at the supporting evidence of that. The awesome oscillator is above the zero line here, and you can see the bars are getting higher. Rock and roll is all green, meaning buy. What we also saw is there was some volume at this point, which we did expect because the FTSE 100 had opened, the London market had opened at this point. And so you can see some volume there, whereas before that it was very much horizontal. And again, look at the DMI, so just what I'm pointing to now. The DMI is above the zero line. These are all green. Okay, so this is also indicating a buy. So 1, 2, 3, 4 crosses there. We've got all our ducks in a row to support the evidence to execute the trade here, which is at 16,561. We've got a target point here of pivot, so that would have been a good place to have taken profit. And of course, if you want to, you could take some of the profit off the table here that you've made, leave half open and profit the other half, or take all of it if you want to, depending on how many pips you need to make each day as part of your investment strategy or trading strategy. If you held on to the trades, again, this is still at your own discretion. This could have continued to power through pivot, but it didn't. It pulled back and crossed here. So if you were going to enter at this point here, then what you could do is close the trade as it's crossing through here. All right. Now the long-term option here, okay, is that whilst on this 1 minute chart, whilst the price from that entry here stays above the 50-200 smoothing average, if you stayed in the trade and just blocked out a lot of the noise that's happened here, you could do that. So you can see it moves sideways for quite some considerable period of time in the morning. All right. So it's yesterday we saw lots of sweeping moves up and down, whereas this morning this started to consolidate once it had hit this pivot level. So it just hit pivot, came back, came up, touched pivot again, came back, touched pivot again. So it was just kind of kept tickling 16,600, 16,603 there, 16,598, 16,600 again there, and then just kept pulling back to this moving average. Okay. And as you can see here, it just continued to move sideways. So there was no trades on the table at that point. And it's only here that we get an opportunity to sell as the price comes down. So it didn't get any further than pivot. So for you pivot traders out there, like selling off pivot, then or buying off there if there's a breakout, then yeah, this potentially would have been a place for you to sell at, with again a stop in the most strategic of places. So if I was going to sell from here, I'm looking at the high here at 16,616. So I don't really want to risk any more than 18 pips if I was taking that sell there. Now what I do know is that as the DAX has been falling, it hadn't got much further than this level, so it's worth the risk for the reward potentially you could get from there. All right, now where's the next trade? Well, it's just here. So why here? Well, you can see where these lows were. So you had a 16,566, 16,569, 16,574. So it just kept ranging between here and that 16,600 level. And it's here it breaks below Supertrend 510 and below these previous lows. And lo and behold, what's it done? It is crossed below the 50-200 smoothing average. Okay. What do we look at? So it's crossed the super trends, It's crossed below the 5200 smoothing average. We've got a lovely entry here. What are the other indicators telling us? Well, this has gone below on the awesome oscillator, below the 0 line. It's all gone red on rock and roll, which means sell. Oh, and the on balance volume indicator. So we can see this has started to drop here, and it goes below this 100 EMA in the orange there, okay, where I'm just pointing to now. That's dropped below it, and so that is clear evidence this is falling. And of course the DMI is below the 0 line, so that's all red there. And we also see the ADX rising, so that's the strength in volume of the sell. So it's crossed 20, and that's where we're seeing the strength in that movement. So you can see here it's just moving sideways. What's the ADX doing? It's just completely flat. It's below 20. It's not doing anything, and it's just here as it's crossed through that it starts to rise. So these are all the things that you need to be looking at when executing a trade. Get all the ducks in a row. So we get that sell here as it's coming through. So around 16,575. Stays below Supertrend 510 and Supertrend 310, and it drops to 16,503. So an entry up here at 16,577, 574, even if you just took it as it just dropped and you wanted to take the lowest one point there, 16,569, that's also fine. But here was fine also, okay, because everything had all lined up as we want it to. So that entry given you over 70 pips, depending on where you got out. It did drop to 16,503. Where was the exit? It's here. Well, that Supertrend 310 is. So the exit there, 50 pips if you'd taken it and closed the trade there. Okay, so whatever your strategy is, how many pips you need to make per day, you could have made 50 there at least, okay, towards your target. Then what do we see happen next? Well, the price is still below the 5200. We did get a move up. Now, of course, because it got to this low at 16,503, if you took an entry, you wouldn't be taking it here. You'd be waiting until all your ducks are in a row again. So this is green on rock and roll. The MI is also green, and this has just crossed up through Supertrend here. Ideally, what we want to see happen is this crossing that 5200, so we've got to be careful here. So if we're entering at that point, then we want to be closing here. Okay, and you can see this is going red on the rock and roll anyway. And, these teeth on the DMI are very, very small. Okay, so that's another thing to just take notice of, is how big these bars are. All right. So what happened next? We had that sell-off there to 16,517. This is at 140, dropped again, and this was just starting to just move sideways again. Crossed up through Supertrend, not quite through the 5200 smoothing average. Comes back again, but had that crossed through here, we would have closed the trade. Okay, so you could have taken a trade there at 16,555, and it would have cost you 12 pips if you closed at that point. Okay, again, better to err on the side of caution in case it kept dropping further, so we would have closed the trade there at a loss of about 12 pips. Okay, so what we're looking for now is, well, we can see the price is again just moving along sideways, and we're waiting for the American market to open, which is at 2:30, and that's just at this point here. So we're starting to see some moves happening, and that's what we're waiting for. Okay. Now, as this is crossing through Supertrend, if you took the entry here, so it's above Supertrend 510, it's crossed through Supertrend 310, and we're looking to buy here, providing everything else is lined up. Now, it is not perfect, and the reason is that although this is above the 0 line, the oscillator, it's green here, it's just still below on the OBV, and on the directional movement index, it's kind of like not very clear here either. So this isn't perfect. okay, by any means. But if you've taken the trade, you would not have been stopped out because it hasn't gone below the initial entry. The stop would be just below here, so it's not actually gone below that, so you would still be in the trade from entering at 16,555. And then, as you can see, what happens next, it starts to, the DAX starts to climb, and it starts to make higher highs. Okay, little pullback there, it's made a higher low than here, and then a high again, slight pullback, and then another high again there, and then it just has a few resting candles, and then off she goes again. So just by taking that entry there and persevering with this, even if you got in at 16,555 or even 1660, you're still going to take advantage of this move, and it's not going to cost you any more than 10-11 pips below here. Okay, so look at the indicators. Awesome oscillator, again, continues to stay above the zero line, starting to look very green here on the rock and roll. The OBV is crossed through the 100 EMA, and of course it's all green on the DMI, so that all bodes very well for staying in this trade. And it gets to as high as 16,629. okay, so it tickles 16,629 once, tickles it again, and then she starts to fall. So from that entry here, you're talking another 60 odd pips there. If you carried on, and if you wouldn't be able to close it there, 16,629, because that was actually the high of the day. Could have continued to go a bit further, but if you're going to close the trade, it would be here at 16,615. So 14 pips less there. But the whole point of this is you're staying in the trade for as long as possible and using these indicators to keep you in the trade, to keep milking that profit. And those are the trades for the day. And then after the DAX had closed at 4:30, done for the day then. And then you can see here it's just not really done much. This is as flat as anything. And we'll have a look at what happens tomorrow. So another successful day on the DAX. It's not been as profitable as yesterday, but still been nicely profitable. Still some good moves there. Again, following the DAX income strategy. If you do have any questions, then please leave those in the comments box below. I will post another video tomorrow. So today it's the 4th of January, which is a Thursday. But again, we'll post another video on Friday the 5th of January and continue to do so, just demonstrating how the strategy works, why it's so powerful, why it's so profitable, why it's so important in terms of keeping your discipline, your patience, your perseverance, and for us to continue to be very profitable with this. So this is whether you're day trading with your own personal money, whether you're day trading with discretionary such as FTM. This is how it all works. So signing off again now. If you do like this video, then please click the like button. Again, that helps with the algorithms with YouTube for other people to be able to see this training. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, then please do so. And if you do need further help, then somewhere in the description are able to book a coaching call if that's something that you want to do. Otherwise, just carry on watching the videos. Okay, bye for now.